going on, everybody, and welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA Spirit of the Race Award. You're listening to the Check Engine Podcast. We're hosted on Anchor.fm, and we're streamed worldwide on all the platforms that you use to listen to your favorite podcasts. My name's Nick. Joining me, as usual, are my two good friends. Our creator, writer, and episode idea vending machine, Andrew, is here, as well as our producer, chief show namer, and resident deep thinker, Tristan. What's going on, guys?
Whew, man, this is going to be tough. So right now we're recording online as you would expect for the listeners, for the benefit of the tape. And of course, everyone in the whole world now is talking to someone else online at this very second. So hopefully the outgoing audio, the produced audio, will sound better than what we're currently hearing, where we only barely hear half of what each other are saying. So this is going to be a really interesting episode.
Yeah, we're going to be asking a lot of ums and whats, and could you repeat that, I think?
Yeah, we're a lot of guesswork.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a lot of guesswork. But, I mean, that's not going to be much worse than we are normally, right? So
that's a good point. Yeah, we're super professional. You know, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, yeah, it's been a week for everybody, I think, since we last recorded. So to that point, we really didn't take much time in trying to come up with a certain theme for this episode. So tonight is just going to be one of our, I think last year we called it an open practice. So it's just going to be, we're all bringing news blurbs that we saw, that we read about to the table, and we're going to discuss them and get reactions as we go. Is that about right? Did I get that down, Pat?
Yeah, that sounds exactly right to me.
That is absolutely exactly what we're doing. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So just an open forum discussion episode. Real quick before we get into that, just thanks to everybody who submitted questions for last week's episode. Once again, that was super, super fun. Can't wait to do it again very soon. So keep sending those questions in if you think of them. So
yeah, it was one of my favorite episodes to record for sure. It was awesome.
Totally. Well, unless anybody has anything pressing to bring up, we'll just, I would say let's start with pace laps, but that's going to be this entire episode. So let's just hop into it. Who's got the first topic we want to get off our chests?
I have one thing that just came out today, that I saw today. Oh, sorry, no, it was yesterday afternoon, that I can't understand. And it's not just like current climate thing. I don't understand why anybody would want this. So
okay.
Ford used to be a car manufacturer. Now they mainly make underwhelming SUVs. They are bringing back, if you give Ford some of your money, they will print you a classic window sticker for your Fox body Mustang.
A classic window sticker?
They will print you a window sticker for your Fox body Mustang.
Like when you bought it at the dealer, it tells you what your fuel costs are going to be, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
How much the options cost?
But
Can't you like keep that one that... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like in the 70s style, right? So it looks like typewritered instead of something you'd actually want to see.
I don't understand that, and I don't agree with it. Why do you so that you can try to sell it and be like, look, I got the window sticker, I bought it new, but it's clearly not old piece of paper? I don't understand.
Well, that's kind of the thing. I mean, these cars would be like 5th or 6th owners at this point. Sorry, Nick.
No, I was just going to say it's for that collectability piece. You know, that's part of it. You get the original bill of sale or something like that, and then the little manila envelope that comes in the trunk when you buy these things, and it adds to the value.
Yeah, but I've been watching a fair amount of Secondhand Antiques Roadshow, and that's fake. That doesn't add value. That's not real.
Well, maybe no, go ahead.
Maybe it's more buyer security then. I don't know.
You could just print one on your computer.
Well, I was going to say maybe it's a certificate of authenticity in a way that you might not be sure that this is a real car. Like maybe you take a picture of it online, so it's like it's not a Matchbox car.
It's not a cleverly spaced, 1/16 scale car on a piece of cardboard over the road.
Yeah, like those eBay postings. PS5 box. PS5 owner's manual.
Yeah. Here's the window sticker for this car, but not the actual car.
Right. Anyways, I cannot think of one single possible reason to do this.
If anybody knows a reason why you'd want to do this, let us know.
For sure.
Let us know. Because, I'm out of ideas also. We're 5 minutes into this episode and I'm out of ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hopefully just for that topic.
Yeah. I mean, no. Don't you worry, boys.
A long way to go.
I brought topics. That's not the issue.
Good.
Do you want me to get into one? Or are we done with that topic?
Yeah, I think we're done with that. That was just a sideshow.
Yeah. Got it. Well, my first topic, we posted this on our Facebook page a little bit earlier in the week. In another case of modern day Nissan tripping over themselves, they accidentally revealed the new typeset for the new Z logo on their upcoming sports car update. Everyone knows what it's going to be already. It was a trademark filing in Canada, and it got leaked.
I did see that actually. But I mean, my question with stuff like this, especially when the leak comes through like a patent office or whatever, I mean, there was like no other option. But that said, it definitely still is underwhelming. I mean, they just brought back the old Z logo. And is that what's going to move Nissan sedans? Like, is that going to move anything other than the Rogue off the lots?
Member berries, bro. It's nostalgia's big.
I know.
He's not wrong.
That is true. But what you have to remember is that people think about the Nissan Z line more fondly than they actually liked or continue to like the Nissan cars of that same line. With the exception of the Z line in like the Fairlady, right? That was the thing when the 350Z came out. But the only thing that means anything anymore in terms of performance or power coming from that brand, it remains the GTR, because they killed off the whole Skyline thing too. So, I mean, they just keep killing off these names that people are interested in, which is an interesting business tactic, of course, because now no one cares about the brand. And they're like, how about remember Z? Remember the letter Z? And it's like, no, we know that letter. It's the last one. We got it. We think of you in the same position.
It's very fitting that you chose to name your sports cars this.
Last is last.
Maybe
Any
that's
questions?
too harsh. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's
actually good. That's actually good branding.
It's appropriate. I don't know if it's good.
No, so the leak, it was supposed to come out with the new car. I guess finally there's going to be a successor to the 370. It's expected to be called the 400Z, and it's supposed to be unveiled later this year, from what I read. So,
all right,
we wait with bated breath.
What would it take, Nick, for you? What would this car have to be for you to care about it?
Not a Nissan.
Wait, no. Okay, Tristan, what would it take you?
I think you'd have for me to be interested, it'd have to be rear drive, at least one turbo 6 in the. If you're gonna do the throwback badge, do the throwback styling to the style of like some of the ones that. Some of those early Fairlady Z's, because I happen to like throwback styling for sports cars when it's not all that you do. Like for a while there, when all that Dodge had was just stuff that was a throwback. Bring like, especially if it's like a whole organized campaign where you're going to bring back the logo, you're going to bring back the body style, and then give it that modern twist with a turbocharged 6.
Well, that's what I think it's going to be. The rumor is it's going to borrow the 3-liter turbo V6 from Infiniti, and they're gonna crank it up, and it's gonna push out 400 horsepower, which is where the 400 in the name is coming from.
See that? I would be interested to see where that goes.
Not off the lot.
That's enough. I feel like they've done. I feel like they've done enough to at least interest me.
Don't quote me on it. That is a rumor that I was reading.
Well, yeah, but I said that would be it. That would be enough if they did it that way.
So we're supposed to find out later this year. All should be revealed besides the logo, because everybody saw that already.
I mean, the way you describe it, Tristan, does make it sound exciting. I would buy into the excitement of what you described, but I have no respect for Nissan, and I don't believe that they'll be able to pull anything like that off.
No, I don't believe it. I mean, would I be interested if that was what it was? Sure.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Can I trust them anymore? No.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So we'll see. What's the next topic? Tristan, you got one?
Yeah, I had one that came up recently, talking about the impact of things like Android Auto, Android Auto, and CarPlay on people's attention. And
of course.
Well, yeah, in their natural habitat, as it were. And the outcome is that it's, supposedly, according to this study, is worse than those with alcohol or other illicit substances like marijuana in their system. Sorry, the article says cannabis.
Of course.
It's from the UK's IAM Road Smart, an independent road safety organization. But basically, it says voice command was, if you're using just voice command, that was slightly better than using the touchscreen controls, but that both were very, very distracting. Drivers were aware of the distraction, modified their driving, but not enough. It wasn't something that was like, they're doing anything too elaborate. But to me, I feel like that's something that when I hate to be the IT guy, but that's got to be user error. Because, I mean, what kind of, person do they have using this? Because if it's me, my eyes never come off the road, and I use the button that makes Siri do everything. And damn the torpedoes on autocorrect. Like, okay, I sent you something funny, and there's a little tag on it that says "sent with Siri. I beg your forgiveness." I never look down. Like, I mean, there are times where I'm not driving without CarPlay, and I can tell you that that's way more distracting. I don't have an excellent comparison to driving while drunk or driving while high. And even if I did, I wouldn't probably be able to recall it all that well. But I feel like I'd be curious to look at the methodology of that study and not just the outcome from a science perspective.
That's always what I wonder too, especially in these tests. Like, what did they have them doing in CarPlay that could possibly have kept them distracted long enough to run a test on this? And what I mean by that is, if you have apps in your CarPlay that take more than, all right, so the toughest thing I can do in my CarPlay is go from one music app to a second music app So say like Apple Podcast to Spotify, and go find a specific podcast in Spotify, which is at the bottom of the list. So it's like the most possible pushes on the screen. And even then, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say a maximum possible touches of 6. That's just not that long.
Yeah, and I don't know, and that's even the most complicated thing. Like, you can even ask directly, like, you press the button, it goes beep beep, and you say, hey, play the latest episode of this podcast, and it does it.
Right, but and then Spotify doesn't have great Siri integration, so she can't typically find anything.
Right. I think that it has recently gotten better for like playing a specific playlist or a specific song.
Yeah.
But again, I don't, but that's like, what most people do. Like they said, they didn't have them doing, complex things like navigating to the closest gas station. It's like, hey Siri, give me directions to the closest gas station. Like, done. Like, I mean,
or you may have to.
It's not.
You may have to push a button. You may have to push a confirm to say which one you actually want to go to. Like on the maps, in the Maps app, it'll bring up options.
And even that, it's like which one, the first one, and you say that it's like option 1 or whatever, and like you can do all this without taking your eyes off the road or either hand off the wheel.
So it shouldn't be any more distracting than just talking to whoever's in the passenger seat, really.
Right.
Other than you have to, my dad and I have had this discussion a long time about like machine learning is just training people how to talk to machines. So you got to like know what the commands are and process that. Like you can't just talk to it like a person. So there's a little bit more, thought process involved there, but it's not much.
Mm-hmm. Right. And anything complex that you need to do with any of that, where there's multiple steps or button pushing, you should just use common sense and do that before you take off anyway.
Or have the passenger do it. And it's certainly better than doing it all in your hand.
Right. Do you have CarPlay or what would it do you have Android Auto in your truck, Nick?
I don't.
Okay. Is there
I don't have any
is
of
there
it.
like an old school like Chevy like
It's
Maps
like a
thing?
MyLink. It's called MyLink. So like I can hook up to my phone and do all that, but it's not Apple or Android.
Gotcha. Just curious.
Works fine for me. So
yeah. So I was highly skeptical of that particular article.
Who are their subjects that were finding this so hard?
Yeah. So it's done by a road safety organization also, who would just prefer we all turn off our phones and lock them in the glove box when we're driving. So
right. Having long lost that battle.
Right.
So let's just skew these results of these tests, try to paint it in a bad light, sway the public opinion. Good strategy.
I honestly, I will say, I very much doubt that they tried to paint it in a bad light. I think that what they did
it was a joke.
Well, I think they just had the wrong people to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
So what's next on the list?
Well, actually, something that I meant to mention. Going off of the Nissan topic, if we can just go back to that briefly.
Yeah.
Automobile put out end of February. They put out an article about a car called the 1982 Ghia Brezza. It was the first car designed by a woman. It's a mid-engine coupe that was designed to take on the Pontiac Fiero, and they were like, it's an interesting kind of super 80s car. Like it has, hidden back wheels and slashes where there don't need to be slashes and very thick. It's a very 80s car. And the whole article was about like, this car is very interesting and it's very beautiful. Why aren't there more female designers? while I definitely agree with that conclusion, I definitely disagree with this being a good-looking car. It's incredibly ugly, and it's incredibly 80s. It's incredibly ugly because it's incredibly 80s. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's ugly. Yeah, we got to be careful there. Like, most cars in the 80s were really ugly. So,
oh yeah, no,
is it ugly compared to other cars in the 80s?
Even the 90s too.
I can't even make that comparison, honestly. I mean, there's just it's not a great looking car. We'll put a picture of it, obviously, with the episode. But so I thought, all right, fine, I'll finally do this, and looked up some of the cars designed by women, and there are like wholly designed by women, is what that means. There are ridiculously few. Is the first thing. There are not that many cars that were, in terms of from the beginning, the lead designer, or because obviously all these things are done in teams, but the primary designer was a woman. Very few, which is an embarrassment, of course. But on this list are some. I mean, it's an interesting list. So let me start with this one. Jumping off of the Nissan point, the Nissan 350Z was designed by a woman named Diane Allen.
Really?
And that car looks fantastic. It's
totally.
I mean, it's even iconic in some way because Nissan, she also designed the 370Z, by the way, but that car came out and became the Nissan. Really, I mean,
yeah, right. Like immediately what you think of, and to a certain extent, even though it's still around, somehow the 370Z carried that straight onwards.
It did, and of course the issue with it is they've let it run out too long. You see the 370Z now, and you're like, make it stop. But that's not her fault. She designed two great cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was the first one. The next one, I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. So the next one, a woman named Mimi Vandermolen designed the Ford Probe.
Oh, that was a good looking car. I haven't looked at one recently to see what I think about it now. It may be one of those games from my video games from my childhood where it had such great graphics. And you look at them, and it's like, oh, maybe not. But I remember loving that car.
So here's what's interesting about this. Actually, Mimi's design process was pretty intense. So she wanted it to be a sports coupe, and she wanted to appeal directly to both men and women. So according to this article from wheelsforwomen.ie, okay, but no, what she did is she had her designers, male and female, the people on her team, do things like wear fake fingernails, so that so when you look at a Ford Probe, the inside of a Ford Probe, the radio controls are completely different. The door handles are slimmer. It has a lighter trunk. It has a lower front end. It's easier to get in and out of, specifically in heels. So she actually used it as the overall approach used it. She used her specific point of view, her knowledge, coming probably totally out of left field to a team of almost all male designers to design a sports car in a way that it had never been done before.
Yeah. That was pretty brave.
I think it's really cool, actually. I mean, almost regardless of what you may think of the car. I mean, it's kind of like I think the name is really what doomed that car more than the actual car itself.
I wonder how much a designer actually has to do with the name. I wonder if they get any say in the car they designed.
I almost think not. I almost think they don't have any. But remember, so the equivalent car, the matched car to this, the Eagle Talon, is somewhat revered.
Yes.
And it's the same car.
Exact same car.
The other one I want to talk about, there are, we're not going to go through the whole list because I don't have opinions about cars like the Volvo YCC or Renault Scenic. I just don't know anything about them.
Okay.
Anybody?
Fair.
Volvo YCC?
Nope.
Great. So we'll move on to the next one that I think is very important, because this one I did not know was designed by a woman, and also I think it points to something kind of interesting in overall car design that may be a little underappreciated. So in 2009. How can I tell this story the right way? Before 2009, BMW hired a designer to redo their entire line, and his name was Chris Bangle. Depending on how you view, more or less specifically, the BMW 6 Series from the early 2000s, people's opinion on that car will tell you a lot about how they view cars in general, because some people hate that 6 Series, but that is more or less the sum total of Chris Bangle's entire design ideology, right? The flame surfacing, the Bangle butt, the front, like that 6 Series is essentially his entire design.
Yes.
Yeah, if you were to sum it up, that would be the one.
Yeah, and so what we're talking about, that's the 5 Series with the headlights that kind of have like eyeliner. That's the 3 Series with sort of the upside down flipped headlights. And it was that generation of cars was very important to specifically BMW sensibilities, but because so many brands chase the German manufacturers, it was very... That generation, the Bangle redesign is something that kind of affected the entire car industry, specifically with something that he did called flame surfacing, which was, all right. So if you look at cars of the late 90s and very early 2000s, few of them have angled cuts on the doors or angled lines on the doors that give the car its shape. Chevy is notorious for doing this wrong by taking a flame surfacing line and running it parallel to the bottom of the windows and then shooting it straight down out the bottom of the car, or dipping it down in a way that doesn't fully connect to the lines. The flame surfacing is what defines the side profile of the car when you're looking directly at the side.
Yes.
Is that a good explanation?
Yeah.
Yeah, that about sums it up.
Again, we will post pictures.
Right, of course. So after this monumental shift in design, BMW tabbed a woman named Julianne Blasi to essentially save their ass, because they took a ton of heat for all of those designs. People hated that 5 Series and that 3 Series, and they hated every single one of those cars loudly and in public. So,
yeah, any possible forum to express their displeasure.
Damn near picketing.
Yeah. So they tabbed, like I said, Julianne Blasi to design the new Z4 that came out in 2009. Aside from the 6 Series, the old Z4, Chris Bangle Z4, was maybe the worst one, the most hated. So she designed my favorite ever Z4, which was also which came in. I don't know if you guys remember this advertisement, the Landshark advertisement. Do you remember that?
I don't.
No.
It was a weird BMW commercial that was almost like an Audi commercial. So the way, if I'm remembering it right, it starts with a guy in his house in the morning, and he hears a knock at the door, and he peeks out the mail slot, and he sees the Z4 like out in the street. And then like it happens again, and it's in his driveway, and it happens the third time, and it's right outside his door. Like he looks at the mail slot, and it's right there, and just goes Landshark, and then it like the commercial ends. And it was just like really bizarre and kind of funny. And so she designed that car.
Referencing the classic SNL skit.
Yes, right. Of course. Yes. I mean, so the interesting thing about this car is that she was able to answer all of the biggest criticisms of the Bengal design while making it completely new and different, and sort of like it was like a reinterpretation that changed the public opinion. And basically, ever since this redesign, this 09 redesign, the Z4 has been considered one of the best looking small sports coupes or sports cars. I mean, it was really impressive work.
Yes, absolutely. That wasn't the Z4 that was in the Bond movies, was it? Like the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies?
No, that would have been the generation before Bengals, I believe.
It was the first generation one.
Yes, it was.
He had a Z3 and a Z4, I thought, from one year to the next.
You're right. No, you're right. He had the Z3 was in. Oh shoot!
Because I know that was the first one. Yeah.
Anyway, that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it wasn't either of these. Yeah. I don't think. No, it wasn't. Yeah, that doesn't really matter. Anyways, I get why it's very important to highlight. I mean, because there's probably fewer than 10 cars in existence that have been designed with a woman at the head, which again is insane. I understand why it's important to highlight every single one of them. But we should talk more about this Z4 specifically and the 350Z, because both of them are not only iconic, but important, not just to the brands that they were made for, but to everyone, to all of car culture.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that should be one of those things that people just know.
Yeah, I think it's and if they don't, instead of these weird, what was the name of the car from the 80s that we started this all with? Like that I've never heard of it.
The Ghia Brezza.
Is it probably quite a few others haven't? I'd be curious. Throw a poll out there. What do you guys think? Have any of our listeners ever heard of that before today? And how many of you have heard of the 350Z, 370Z, and the 2000 and what? Probably 10, 11 plus Z4? Yeah.
Yeah,
let's
something
compare
like that.
Those for a while.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. I've had that one sitting around for a couple of weeks, actually. So nice to get it off the plate.
Yeah, finally check that one off the list, right?
Yeah.
So we need more women designers, though, damn it.
Because those are good cars.
Yeah, absolutely. They're great cars.
Let's get more women designers. Science, technology, engineering, and math. STEM. Come on. My next topic has to deal with... It stems off of the reason why we're recording this remotely. As of March 18th, the big three have all closed their manufacturing plants.
Yes.
GM, Ford, and FCA have closed for the foreseeable future. It affects 150,000 workers, although they are going to be okay because between their unemployment and supplemental pay from the unions, they're actually not going to be losing any money. They're just basically paying them to stay home at this point. It's weird, though, because, I mean, the day before, so this announcement came out on the 18th. On the night of the 17th, the UAW agreed with all three companies to keep the plants open, but just adjust the shifts and the amount of employees working in each shift to practice the social distancing. I'm assuming just because of how fluid this situation is, especially how it was earlier in the week when more and more new reports kept coming out almost by the minute, it just, at one point they're like, yep, you know what, we can keep going. We'll keep it, we'll run on a skeleton crew or whatever they decided to do. And then the next morning they're like, oh shit, never mind.
Yeah, this absolutely.
And as crooked, I don't know what I want to say here, shady, we'll say, as the UAW has been lately.
Yeah, definitely all of that.
This is actually
picked a good adjective there. All of them.
Yeah. As shady as they've been recently, this is one that I think among the three of us at least, this is universally applauded, right? Let's just keep the people safe. Let's just bite the bullet on this one. And whenever that normalcy hits again, just let them all back. And the auto industry was prepping for a massive downturn in sales anyway, just because of this whole thing. So I don't know if them being there was going to do anything but just lead to excess inventory for everybody. So
yeah, that was something that I was going to not jump into fully, but bring up if this came up in another context. People are already sitting on huge amounts of inventory. So
especially if FCA.
Having them there to make something that no one's going to buy makes no sense. It just costs you materials and everything else. Like, even if you're paying them to stay home, you're not also paying the electricity to run all the machines. You're not paying to buy the raw materials. Just keep everybody home. It doesn't make sense.
Yep. So this is one of the few good moves lately by the UAW and the big three automakers. So, shout out to them for making the right call.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, what else can you really do?
What else can anybody really do at this point?
Yeah, exactly. However, I did say, especially if you're FCA, not in a joking manner, before this shutdown, FCA was already getting, if I'm remembering correctly, they actually, some of their dealers brought suit against them for the sales tactics they were being suggested to use because of their excess inventory, their excess production. I can't quite remember. I used to have some clippings on it, but I think it was the dealers were being pressured to take more inventory. Oh, right here. FCA threatened with lawsuit by NY dealers over sales tactics. This was February 15th. If you can believe that. FCA has been sending daily emails to dealers across the country offering $1,500 bonus cash coupons to entice dealers to take cars from FCA's inventory pool. And in some states, that is illegal. It's that simple.
Yep.
They were asking their dealers to participate in potential illegal activities just to try to clear out their inventory. So,
and they very rightly said, no.
Yes, they did.
I do not think so.
Yeah, not gonna do that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna send you a C&D real quick. So
I ain't gonna do it.
We're gonna lawyer up just real fast.
Yeah. So yeah, this probably helps them out a ton. Well, I don't know if it helps them out a ton because I don't know how many people are buying enough FCA vehicles to really lessen that inventory. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't even know. I mean, it's so hard, obviously, to spend any time on any media platform, especially for people like me, where, just when you read things and you just sit there and think about them for the rest of your life. And so, I mean, most of what's on car Twitter right now is of course number one currently is iRacing, which I imagine we'll probably talk about. And
yep. Spoiler alert. I've got that queued up.
I know. And 100% Doom.
Yes. iRacing and Doom.
That's it. That's all that's on there.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Well, since you brought it up, you want to just jump into it then? You want to just go into the iRacing thing?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I'm going to say a big kudos to iRacing because there's a lot of race fans out there who are starved for action. So iRacing stepped up. Other ones have too. And they've gotten in contact with sanctioning bodies, in some cases even network TV, and they are, if we can't race for real, we're going to race digitally. So yesterday was IMSA's Super Sebring, which was a 90-minute race featuring 50 drivers with IMSA licenses from all of their racing series, from Prototype Challenge, the Michelin Pilot Challenge, all the way up to the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Today, no bullshit, Fox Sports 1 broadcast a NASCAR iRacing event from Homestead.
Yeah, they sure did.
The Pro Invitational, they had their Fox broadcast crew. It was a legit TV broadcast watching digital racing. And then Formula One also did one. They called it the Not Bahrain Grand Prix.
I had a link sent to me of that one, and honestly, it's about as good to watch.
No, it really is.
I'm not gonna lie. It puts this whole real F1 thing in jeopardy.
I feel like
if we
that's not a compliment.
If we aren't allowed to actually go, this is absolutely as good.
No, I mean, I watched the IMSA one yesterday. Claire and I both watched the NASCAR one today. My dad was actually texting me. He was watching it and he was excited. It is. I mean, if you can, in the first 4 or 5 minutes, you've got to get over the fact that you're watching essentially someone play video game. But the drivers are good enough. The action was good. It was actually good to watch. The NASCAR one, it came down to a last lap pass for the win. It brought Redneck Jesus, Dale Earnhardt Jr. out of retirement, and he lost on the last lap pass in a photo finish. He comes out of retirement. They actually said this is his first NASCAR race since 2017. And if anything, it was a lot of fun, and for 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever it is, you just kind of forget about what's going on, or you try to forget about it. Just gives you something else to think about besides the fact that you're in quarantine or whatever the hell else you're doing with the social distancing. I think it's a fantastic move. iRacing is probably just been introduced to so many people who didn't know about it. I bet you their membership is going to skyrocket. I think it was just a fantastic move, and I'm ready. As long as we're in this situation, I will be tuning in to as many of these as I can, because I'm at home anyway. What else do I have to do besides work during the day? But what the hell?
It's true. My problem is with all of this. First, I don't think there's a risk of electronic racing overtaking IRL racing at all.
Oh, hell no.
I have a lot of expectations in my brain that don't match up with the product on the screen, simply because this now, the popularization of racing sims meets directly at a nexus that I deal a lot with in my everyday life and in my work life and everything. So technology is there, video games are there, racing is there, cars are there, and Twitter is there. And I hate all of those things. No. But I have all of these separate pots in my life, right? I mean, I do watch a little bit of
all over and spill them all together.
Yeah, and so all of the things that I hate most about all of those things combined. And so that makes it really hard to watch. I mean, for example, I watch a bit of, I guess, esports is the way to term it, right? That we call it that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's competitive.
So I watch a bit of it. Yeah. I like to watch a little bit of Smash. I like to watch a little bit of Mortal Kombat and some other fighting games, a little bit of Dota here and there, a little bit of competitive Overwatch. Just sometimes it's interesting to kind of put in your eyes. But one of the biggest downfalls of all esports is that there are, throughout the entirety of esports, 0 competent broadcasters. Not good, not exciting. No one's even competent. And that's annoying because
that's true. That was the good thing that NASCAR did with theirs, was they brought in their actual TV crew.
I didn't think they were better than esports commentators because I had no idea what they were doing. Yes, they're true pros. If you give them 2 more races, they're going to be better than anyone who's currently on the esports scene. I don't doubt that for a second.
Right. They have to learn the platform, because you can tell that none of them actually do it. So a lot of it was them learning and trying to describe the platform to a watching audience. So once they get that down, the fact of the idea of calling a race is something they can do in their sleep. Yes.
For sure. Yeah, that I don't have a problem with at all, really. But it's just one of those things. So, the Twitter part of it was Twitter coming in and saying, get esports commentators. And me going, no, don't ever do that.
No.
The next thing is, and this is going to sound really dumb, something that always bothers me about iRacing. Yes, I get it has the most realistic physics, TM, but there is no crash damage in that game. And
no, there is. You can just hit a reset button and eliminate it.
I know. But also more to the point, like, it's not visible. Yes, there may be like, oh, suspension piece damage. There's no body damage. There's no visual. There's no, I mean, even when you see the cars crash, there's no true physics to any of it. It really
Were you watching the
bothers
same
me.
thing as I was? Like, there was a lot of damage on that race today.
I was not in the IMSA race.
Not in the NASCAR race, there was.
I didn't watch the NASCAR. What do you think I'm watching, NASCAR?
Oh, whatever. Well, that was the one we were talking about before you jumped into that. So,
but no, the IMSA race, and that excuse me. But that is a problem I have with iRacing, kind of in general. Like, it doesn't satisfy my eyes to see it.
Right. If you focus just on the way, like, the wheels of the cars are interacting with the track, it's perfect. But there's no crowds. The environments are from 10 years ago. Like, it's not satisfying to your eyeballs who are used to watching things like the madness going on just over the wall at Sebring, or the beautiful surroundings at Road America, Watkins Glen, Canadian Tire. Like, there are a bunch of flat textured digital backgrounds that don't really mean anything. And, sure, they put a lot of effort into, like, making sure that landmarks are in the right place. Like, great, the bridge is right there because, like, people can, like, say, you need to do this X racing action at the bridge or at this sign or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that like all that stuff that matters is there, but it's a weirdly sterile way of watching a race. That's how I feel about it.
I guess that's a good way to describe it.
It was fun though.
I pulled up the iRacing highlights, or rather, I mean, because it's NASCAR iRacing, they're still only showing the crashes. Yeah, exactly.
Typical NASCAR.
This is the highlights. No, man, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's crash damage in air quotes, but like a guy literally just clipped through another guy. And I know that sounds like really stupid, but it's just something my brain can't come to terms with, especially in a game
out of
where.
All the ones.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. So I was saying that all the ones
especially in a game where it's.
Oh gosh.
Someone talk. Someone shut up and someone talk.
Andrew, speak.
Okay, especially in a game where what's predicated and sold solely on driving physics.
Yeah, that the physics stop right at driving.
Yes.
Yes, I honestly kind of sampled all three of them, just because I figured we'd be talking about them. But I was involved in some other things this weekend that Andrew knows all about that. But honestly, the best one was the F1 race. They've got like people in the crowds. They've got camera dollies off on the side. They've got construction equipment hanging out when you pull into the pits. They've got marshals on the pit wall. Like, that was the one that would have if I had woken up in the middle of the night and that was playing, it would have taken me way too long to figure out that it wasn't real.
Yeah, that one is the F1 esports is based on the console game.
Right.
I think is it Codemasters that does it? I'm trying to remember, but I have the 2019 version, or do I have 2018 for PS4? But it's based on that. So that the Formula One was not the iRacing platform, but and it's very realistic. That game's awesome.
It is Codemasters, by the way.
Yeah. So no, I get it. I just think I'd rather have that than nothing at all. I mean, if you I mean, if you want something else that's real, there is Marbula One marble racing on YouTube.
I don't
Is it also
disagree
on
with that.
ESPN
Marble racing
show?
is absolutely dope.
Have you watched Marbula One? They actually have grandstands set up and they have little marbles sitting in the seats. Like
That's
they said,
I've
look it
not
up,
watched
man.
that specific one, but no.
we need to share that.
I think I shared one on our Facebook page last week. Just a YouTube link to Marbula One. It's awesome. There's a commentator. There's multiple camera angles. It's great.
That's funny.
So that my thing is, look, if I can't see actual on-track action, that's obviously the best way to consume it as a fan. I mean, this gives us something. The action is good. Yeah, the physics are wonky when they crash, but the action is good. The drivers are talented. Like, it's not me getting out there and doing it.
Right.
These guys are turning
real drivers, clearly.
They're real drivers. They're pros. They're turning lap times very similar to what they would in real life, if not the exact same, like, which is something I wouldn't be able to do. Or 95% of the other people watching. So I'm all for it. Just let me consume something. Let me watch something race.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
I should have turned this NASCAR highlight thing off and just didn't. This is going to sound super weird, but similar to the F1 race, which I also pulled up briefly, visually there's little, I mean, aside from, like empty stands, this could be a real qualifying, but with crashes. Like this could almost be real.
What, the F1?
The NASCAR, like the zoom out cameras. Obviously, once you zoom in, then you start to see polygons. But like the zoom out cameras when they're coming into the front straight. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be worse.
It could be way worse. I also thought it was funny that little side note in this NASCAR, like Jimmy Johnson, arguably the greatest NASCAR driver ever, not a sim racer. So he was. There was at one point he looked like there's already a post going around social, the clip of Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights when he's going around the track at like 20 miles an hour in the middle of the race, like right after he came back from his big crash. Like that's what Jimmy Johnson looked like on here. The best driver of his era was like 9 laps down after 14 laps.
I'm just looking at your waveforms for that, Nick, because it's so funny. This is just so funny. Again, to break the fourth wall a little bit here, to pull back the curtain. It's so interesting how you can put together everything that Nick said in the middle. I didn't hear a single word of what you said in the middle there about Jimmy Johnson, but just from your last words, I now know exactly what you said. And that does indeed sound hilarious.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty good. So yeah, folks, go check it out. If you're starved for motorsports, go watch Marbles Race on YouTube, or look up iRacing's broadcasts on YouTube or Twitch or whatever else, or follow the Formula One esports. You can get some sort of competitive action while you wait. So
okay, so just to take this a step forward, just to stay on the esports thing for a little bit. So there's been this like weird meta commentary about esports, right? Since it's become more or less mainstream or gained an appeal and started with these huge like international Overwatch tournaments where the prizes were in the millions of dollars. That,
yes,
it's that whole thing like, it's not real sports. It's like, they're not athletes. Okay, no one cares about any of that. But the question I have is, well, first of all, why aren't any other leagues jumping on this? / how long does it take the NBA to start televising their own? They have their own 2K league. Like literally, the Milwaukee Bucks have an esports team. So how long does that take? And then is this the moment, like with basketball? When you look back at the history of basketball, people say, oh, it's not a real sport. And then wilt, right? So is this the crest? Is this what gets esports permanently and forever into a discussion about sports, whether it's, at the level of American soccer, at the level of, who knows, tennis, bocce ball, whatever. Does this end the first stupid part of that thing?
To answer the first part of the question, I don't think it's going to be too much longer before you start seeing the other sports do it. I don't think the NFL is going to, because their season isn't supposed to start till September anyway. So they're just going to ride it out and let the draft and all that stuff kind of carry, and free agency coverage carry them through. But I'm not sure about MLB, but I'm guessing the NBA is going to come out with something soon, especially if they don't continue their season after their 30-day break, which I'm guessing they won't, because they're already trying to plan. Like, are they jumping right to the playoffs in June or July? Like, they're already working on those contingencies plans. So I think it's going to be a longer than 30-day break. Yeah, so I feel like the NBA is going to, I think one difference here that you got to talk about, though, when you talk about like virtual sim racing versus like basketball or even like kids playing Madden.
Yeah.
They're still, with racing, they're still steering wheel, pedal, and shifter, where like with every other one, it's joysticks and buttons. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes, I understand.
Closer.
Yeah, and I understand that, and it's different people, right? Like LeBron James isn't picking up is not in the 2K league. I get that.
Exactly. Yes.
But is it better than nothing?
Although also when I watch that,
it's totally better than nothing.
Listen, if they are going to televise 2K, I will put it in my eyes.
And I would watch the pros play it.
You know what? As horrible as that is, maybe that's the show, right? Maybe that's the show. Like,
that's the fun part.
The pro gamers, because how long really? You're not going to have a televised 2K match that has 15-minute quarters, right? They're going to be like 6-minute quarters. They're going to be whatever the default is. So that you probably neatly fit 2 of those into a 45-ish minute broadcast with some studio time and this and that half times. So maybe it is one. That would be an interesting idea. I think one pro gamer match, one pro basketball player match.
Yeah, because maybe LeBron actually sucks at 2K. Like, he's really good at basketball, but he's awful at video games.
But basketball players are very competitive about 2K, and other sports players too. Football players are very competitive about 2K.
Oh, and everybody's competitive about FIFA. Doesn't matter what sport you're in. FIFA's huge.
What is EA doing with their whole entire time?
Yeah, they're not capitalizing.
They got to put something together. They got to call the commissioners. This might be the tide. They might have seen, well, I haven't seen viewerships or any metrics behind what happened with motorsports yet this weekend, but like if got any shred of a success, like the phones will be hot tomorrow with the other leagues. Can we jump on this train?
Looking at just the optics of the success of iRacing in this past weekend. And again, I probably have a very skewed view because the people I follow are the people who were most involved and also the people who promoted it the most. However, what I know is, for a absolute fact, the number of eyes on all of these iRacing events was more than 0 and more than 100 and definitely more than 1,000 and probably more than 10,000. So at what point is a success when the alternative is 0?
Yeah. You're right.
Is it technically anything at that point?
Right.
Any viewership.
Yeah, absolutely. And a marketable product. You can still run commercials.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there was commercials galore in that NASCAR race today.
For sure. So, yeah. How about racing, though, leading the way in... I mean, honestly, from my point of view, if any other league is smart, they're gonna want a piece of this action. How about for the first time, definitely in a long time, racing leading the way in something like that?
No, it's awesome.
Amazing.
That's fantastic. I'm so fired up for that. Cool. So iRacing, folks, or F1 Esports, follow it, like it, get your fix.
If you follow anyone, if you follow anyone, you'll see it, definitely.
Yeah. If you follow anyone in car culture, you'll know where to find it. Tristan, you got anything else? What's on your list? What other things are on your mind?
Yeah, there was a report about the new Koenigsegg Jesko, Hesco. I don't know. But how do you pronounce that J? But it was a incredibly superfluous article from Car and Driver. Was like, this new car from Koenigsegg could go 330 miles an hour if it had enough space. So then it can't. Can it then?
What about that road in Texas? The big long straightaway road with no speed limit.
They looked at that. That was the one they did for the Regera, I think, something like that. It's too rough. The one in Nevada.
So then what can it do in actual conditions?
They haven't tried it yet.
Yes.
So why are we bothering to write about it?
Because it does speed, Nick.
Lots of speed and big numbers. 1,600 horsepowers.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to do.
Why do articles like these exist? Like, I know that we're trying to not be, we always used to say, like, we're not professionals. We're not in the automotive, we're not in the journalism, game. I guess. I use that word sparingly in this case, like or loosely. It's just like, well, I could reach terminal velocity falling down my stairs if I had enough stairs. Like, but there aren't enough in the world for that, so it's not a thing. That's not a story. That's made up. It's fake.
But it can't be wrong if it's not wrong.
If you can't prove it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean it's right either.
But it's not wrong. That's what's most important.
You're right.
Actually, speaking of that,
it can be taken as fact.
Speaking of things that are wrong, I do have something that is very wrong and very dumb. If we're done with that.
Is there anything else to say about that?
No.
Like, it could do 330, but it won't be able to. Okay.
Well, let me tell you this though. I will do 330 in that in Forza 4.
Oh, yes, you will.
Yeah, just a little something light.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you will.
And then slam into a delivery truck and not die.
Totally.
Anyways. So, here's something that is wrong. From Auto Week. They would like to pose a question. And it is a dumb question.
Here we go.
Auto Week asks, in the age of social distancing. Yeah, start over. In the age of social distancing, are intercom systems in cars a good idea?
What?
Huh?
In the age of social distancing, are intercom systems in cars a good idea?
Like within the car, so you can talk to the people in the back seat from behind a closed door?
So you can talk to the people outside of the car.
Oh, like please step away from the vehicle.
Like a police
kind of thing?
Yes. And the answer is obviously no.
No, it's not even. What? No.
So here's the thing. Anytime I would talk to somebody from inside my car, it's one of two things. I'm either going to need to physically interact with that person, because let's say this is all still over and all over. Most of the storm has passed, but we all still realize that maybe we should all just be a little bit further from each other, just in case something like this happens again, right? I'm still going to do things like maybe I won't go to a 500-person party, but I'll go to the drive-thru.
Mm-hmm.
I might even do that now. Like,
right.
So no, I don't need an intercom to talk to the person who I'm going to have to open the window for anyway. The other place I would need an intercom is if, like, we're going somewhere and we pull up next to each other and we roll down the window and say, wait, was that the exit we were supposed to take, or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. In that case, you're more than far enough away. You are more than 6 feet away. Everything's fine. I don't need an intercom then. The only time that I could see needing an intercom would be a purely negative situation, such as road rage. Right. In which case, as Andrew has described in the past, I don't want to talk to those people anyway. I roll up my window and ignore them.
Exactly.
I'm not going to be talking to them.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get shot.
Right.
I'm still so confused by this. What positives did they list? Like, what was their argument?
Oh, I didn't give them the click.
Oh, okay.
You thought I read it?
Well, normally you do. You're pretty good about that kind of stuff.
That's a good point. AutoWeek spend most of the bad stuff I've had to say about car journalism in general lately is all coming from AutoWeek.
And honestly, I've had a lot of problems with Car and Driver. That's been my source of bad, quote unquote, journalism.
You know what? Just for you, Nick, I'll do it. AutoWeek.
Thanks, man.
Intercom car.
Yeah. So, listen, the only thing I can possibly envision from this is nothing but bad. Nick, do you have any hypotheses about a potential good use of it? Maybe yelling at deer. Would that work? But I could just roll down my window.
or I could just use the horn.
Yeah, but they are used to horns. Imagine screaming at them. They might not know what that's about.
I'm trying to think, like, unless you roll through a neighborhood, like, warning them of something, like, kind of like what the police do.
Police cars have them, yes.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah, wait, sorry. What was I supposed to be reading this article for?
Did they find any positives for it?
Like, why would they even bother asking the question?
All right, here's the conclusion. I'm going to read you the concluding paragraph as written by Jay Ramey. Shut up, Jay. But here's the final paragraph. But in the age of social distancing and greatly increased reliance on personal cars, as public transit use shrinks. Okay. Sorry, let me start that over. That really threw me off. But in the age of social distancing and greatly increased reliance on personal transportation as public transit use shrinks, it could prove to be a useful feature for regular cars as well if neither the driver nor the person outside are wearing a mask. Regular cars, because the focus of this article is about how they use intercom systems on highly armored, highly secured, very specific purpose vehicles.
Right. So that doesn't apply.
Shut up, Jay.
Yeah, it doesn't apply it now.
I don't understand.
No, I also, you know, this is not a good thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. The one thing that I haven't read in a long time, and in a long time, I guess I'm talking about 2 weeks now, on Twitter, is anything about Uber and a ride sharing killing the car. And that's been really nice.
Yes.
That's a positive.
I think it's kind of quiet on those opinion pieces right now.
I'm not going to get into somebody else's car that other people have been in, even up and above on top of that person.
You don't want to sit in someone else's coof?
I don't know what that word means, but I don't want to know what that word means.
Instead of cough, goof.
Coupe. It's like coupe.
Yeah. Anyways, that's how quarantine's been going for me.
Deep thoughts. Nick Andrew has been full of the deep thoughts this time.
Yeah, how about that?
I've been trying to keep the brain shut off. I don't want to deep think about it.
Yeah. There's nothing good about intercoms in cars for any reason.
No, I do not understand why you would ask that question at all.
Yeah, that's awful.
This car could go 330 miles an hour if the intercom were loud enough.
It gives that extra 30-mile-an-hour boost. 300's easy.
Right. Right, exactly.
Stupid journalism. All right. So moving on to the next topic I had, did you guys see anything here on the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo?
I don't know.
I didn't. No.
It's expected late this year. It is the an all electric, obviously lifted wagon.
Oh,
So
God.
like an electric Porsche Outback.
Oh, sorry. I just looked up a picture.
They're already
Damn.
making an electric Macan. Why?
Macan electric in 2022.
Right, I know.
And then the same announcement that they announced that they talked about the Macan electric in 2022, they said, by the way, Taycan Cross Turismo late 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like that it's a wagon.
yeah.
So
That's a
here's
positive.
something interesting.
I like that.
Well, here's something interesting I want to note with this, actually, that I mean, it's probably being brought up in the articles, but I think that we should make more of it than they are. This car, this Cross Turismo, was functionally a co-development. They previewed this in 2018. So they just developed it right alongside. This is ready now is why they're doing this, Tristan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess. That's a why of sorts. But I do like that it's a wagon. I mean, I think that I'm gonna go back to that and hang on to that glimmer of brightness. Maybe they'll do the same thing that Volvo is doing. They'll bring over their lifted wagon and then let you order a non-lifted one if you'd like it.
Gotcha. Probably not, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's good to dream.
Why do you have to kill my hopes?
Because it's
Let
Porsche.
Porsche do that.
They're
Let the rest
they're
of the
no
auto
fun.
industry do that.
fine. My bad.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty interesting. I honestly didn't hear of it. I didn't know it was a co-development until I dug into the article. But that's part of a $10.7 billion investment that Porsche is making into electrification over the next decade.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on the electric train and they aren't getting off.
Well, some trains are electric. That is true.
I know.
I was going to make a choo-choo noise, but do electric trains do that?
No, I think they just kind of hum quietly.
They kind of go. That was boat horn. Is what that was. That was a boat horn.
Yeah, that was more boat horn.
I didn't think that was going to translate correctly. I thought it had to go ooh.
Yeah, that might be mistaken for something else.
So who else has got anything?
Ooh. Man. See, I have a screenshot here from Tuesday about and who knows who started this thing, but there was a question that I saw in about 15 different forums throughout the course of All Day Tuesday and All Day Wednesday on Car Twitter. It's always something to this effect, right? Your flight from this one is Seattle to New York has been canceled. You must now drive. You may take any car ever made. What is your choice? So that's the basic form of the question. Some people...
So it's a road trip question.
Right. Some people gave it a little flair, though. They gave it a little, what shoes would you wear? Where do you stop and eat? What are your car snacks? All that crap. But the core of it, this question is fundamentally the same. Drive across the country in any car ever.
Okay.
Do you have a choice, Andrew? Do you know which one you're taking?
It would be a wagon. I could almost talk myself into something like the I mean, any car ever. So it's supposed to be like a Halo car question, kind of mixed with a any car. So like an RS6 Avant, I think is probably the best choice, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Pretty solid one. I mean, I think in my mind, I went with normal because it's like, I don't know, my brain, the way it works, jumped down the rabbit hole of your flight has been canceled. What are you going to go look for at the rental counter?
Also, there was another thought I had.
So like for mine, that one, I immediately went to our favorite and actually a relatively popular set of purchases recently among family and friends on my recommendation, based on like, hey, you're a car podcast guy. What should I get? I'd see if they had a RAV4.
RAV4, definitely.
If you're at the rental counter.
I was going to say, if you're going normal car rental counter, Optima.
Definitely Optima. Does anybody rent the Buick Tour X, you think?
If it's available, I'd take it.
Yeah.
Those seats are mad comfortable.
Yeah, I'd pick one of those. I mean, yeah. What did they really expect the answer to be here? I don't know. I think it's one of those questions that appears really interesting, and then the second you try to answer it, you go, oh, never mind.
or it's going to be full of a lot of people who are going to try to make it interesting, like any car ever. I would do it in a 1920s Duesenberg, blah blah blah. It's like whatever. Something that's way too deep. Or someone's going to throw out like, oh well, if it's my chance to drive any car ever, I'm going to drive something really stupid that you'll get to Colorado and want to die. Like,
yeah.
Got a little extra time in your hands? Take a Model T.
Model T.
Putt.
The original horseless carriage.
The Benz patent motorwagen.
We'll see you in 6 weeks.
The Flying Scotsman. I mean, I get the appeal. Maybe I'm just being too hard on. I mean, one thing that I do know, one thing that is important to mention that goes along with this quarantine, obviously, is that so many of the journos and even commentators or people who work for like the IMSA radio network, so many of those people are fundamentally contractors or independent contractors. So because there's no racing, there's no races, there's no money. Like, it's just that simple. That's as far as that goes. So a lot of these people are home by themselves or with their family. It's not still by themselves without work. And more importantly, and probably more terrifyingly, it's not something that any of the three of us have to think about. Thank God. They are without the prospect of work.
Yes.
So
right. There's no clear end in sight.
Yeah. And I understand that. So I know a lot of what is going on Twitter right now is them fundamentally trying to keep themselves limber, because if in fact racing does come back this year, not to torture the metaphor, but it's going to be full go, like wire to wire, race weekend to race weekend. They're going to have to remap all of these races. They're going to remap their schedules based around getting the most done in the least amount of time. And so all these people have to be as ready as possible, no matter how long this break is, even if it is longer than a month or 2 months.
Right. And on that point, just to jump off to the side just a tad on that, Marshall Pruitt had an article on Racer that actually made a really, really good point. When everything does get back up and running, and as you said, it is full go, at least in the US, they're going to be fighting like hell for broadcasting space or airtime, because, well, think about it. NBC Group covers the entire IndyCar season. They cover the entire IMSA season, and they cover the second half of the NASCAR season.
Ah, right.
So there's one network that over the course of 10 months can spread everything out kind of evenly. Now you've got to take all of that and try to condense it into let's just say 5-month window. So who's getting bumped to just streaming? Probably IMSA. Who's getting, dropped down to MSNBC or, because NASCAR is going to take the network, right? Outside of the Indy 500, NASCAR is going to take the network. So where does IndyCar and IMSA slot into that? Like, they're all broadcast on the same network or family of channels.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
So
yeah, it'll be something I'm curious about. Curious to see.
I mean, ESPN has Formula One, so they don't have a problem. But all the other major forms of motorsports is in one spot.
Jeez. Wouldn't that be something?
So that's going to be interesting. TBD. I'm sure they'll figure it out, but it's going to be an interesting battle. All those league presidents are going to be like, this is why this event should be on your network, and this is why this event should be on this network, and a lot of bartering going on.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt at all.
So
much
interesting.
So many
stuff.
moving pieces. It is really interesting. I mean, yeah, it is really interesting to think. And one, just sort of related to the break and everything. One tweet I did see that made me really laugh today. I don't remember who sent it. I think maybe like Rory Carroll retweeted it, or maybe it was Bozy. It was just a guy saying, the funniest part is that none of our project cars will get finished. That's like,
that is very true.
That's pretty funny.
That's very true. That's awesome. Does anybody else have anything else, or
nothing of any substance?
Yeah, that's all I have, honestly.
All right. Well, I mean, we had a couple of marathon episodes here in the last couple of weeks, so we can get folks out a little earlier today. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. So let's do that. Why don't we?
Yeah.
Let's get you folks on your merry way. Hey, thanks for listening. But we don't want you just to listen, all right? We want to interact with you. So we have our very own website. It is checkenginepodcast.com, and we have an email address there, inbox@checkenginepodcast.com. We're also on all of the socials. On Facebook, you can find us at Check Engine Podcast. Andrew, you already mentioned how much you're monitoring the Twitters. Where are we at on Twitter?
Yeah, at Check Engine Pod to find me. I guess in the last week, it's just been overly communicating with people who have way more industry experience and should literally never be talking to me.
Well, that's awesome.
It is great.
Some
They're
inside
stuck at home now.
information.
Suddenly, I don't seem so crazy.
I'm stuck at home too, and so are you.
They're not as busy. Right. They don't have their time.
Exactly.
Isn't as important anymore. So at Check Engine Pod on Twitter. Tristan, our Insta page is.
Yeah, at Check Engine Pod. Also, kind of quiet there because we haven't been going out to do anything, so we haven't seen any interesting cars about. So
yeah, for sure.
Little snoozy there at the moment, but
follow us there. Come on, folks, just reach out to us. Like, follow, share, post, DM. Reach out how you can.
Much like those auto industry people, we know you're not busy.
Yeah. Hey, exactly. There's no excuse at this point.
You're home. We're home.
Let's get the conversations going.
That's right.
So ask us questions that we can answer on the air so we can repeat that episode from last week. Let us know what you like and dislike about what we're doing. Give us ideas for topics, whatever you feel is best. So thanks in advance. Also, what you can do, if you don't want to talk to us, you can at least leave us a review, preferably a good one, or you can hit that subscribe button. It's free, and all that's going to happen is you're going to get notified of any new content that we put out. So it's really harmless. If you're really, really, really into what we're doing and you want to support us monetarily, You have two options for that. You can go to patreon.com/check-engine-podcast, or you can hit that support button on our homepage at anchor.fm/check-engine-podcast. Every cent that goes into those little buckets are put towards making this a better podcast for you, the listener. None of it goes back into our own personal pockets. So we thank you in advance if you choose to do that. Guys, who or what are we thanking before we get out of here?
I mean, I just want to thank my family, and wife obviously first, but family as well, because we're all just kind of stuck, and it's been really good. I think, like keeping each other entertained and keep each other from going crazy. It's been easy. And of course, we're only a week in, but every little bit counts, right? Every day now is its own little fight.
Exactly. I agree. I would, side note, this isn't my official thank you, but thanks to Claire for putting up with me.
Yeah. I mean, that goes without saying. I wasn't going to say that specifically. Yeah.
But Tristan, what about you?
I'd like to thank my workplace for their as large of an organization as they can be, and sometimes it's hard to use the overly cliche term turn a ship that size. We managed to make a decision and get everybody out of the office in about 4 days, and I think that's going to do nothing but good for anybody, and myself in particular. I do not want to be anywhere near people. And being able to work from home, quickly, despite the work that needs to be put in to do so, is very much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Working in the same place.
Pretty much just
I agree, Tristan.
Yeah, but he pretty much just thanked himself there. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
thanks to my quick movement.
Thanks to my team and my team's quick movement, we're able.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Tristan.
Nick, he knew Nick wasn't going to do it for him.
Yeah. No, we were talking to the most people, but there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I had no hand in whatsoever. So
yeah, but that's not the joke, Tristan.
Yeah, but this is the serious part, Andrew.
Fine.
As much as we ever can be.
Right, exactly. Yeah. For my thank you, I want to thank and give a shout out to my good friend Nick Orth. You guys saw it today, Andrew and Tristan. I sent it to you via WhatsApp. So Nick is a buddy of mine. We go back a good ways. He and I used to bang side pods and race go-karts together back in the day. And he's actually the one who got me into iRacing as well. And not only does he drive on it, he also creates a lot of sick liveries. And he's been doing every Check Engine podcast livery, basically that I've asked him to do since this podcast came out. And he just dropped the Audi RS3 TCR livery. And it is without question the best one he's done for us. I am so stoked with that livery. It's awesome. So thanks, Nick.
Yeah, it's totally awesome.
We've got some good ones in the works too. Andrew, you created that. I'm not going to reveal what it is yet, but you created a really cool retro logo for us a while back, and I sent that to him. So I said, I asked him, what can you do with this? So
Sweet.
You two know what that is, but I'm not going to reveal it to anybody else. So when he drops those, it's going to be bananas. So thanks, Nick, for all your help with that. We appreciate it. And as always, thank each and every one of you who are listening for your continued support. We hope you're all staying safe. You're staying away from one another. You're doing, the right, smart things right here in this, during this time. We love hearing from you. We love recording the stuff for you. Hopefully you forget about things for about an hour and 20 minutes while you're listening to us ramble. And we can't wait to speak to you again. But until then, seriously, take care of yourselves.